Hey folks, this is my G37 sedan. You might have seen it in some other videos I got posted up there on YouTube. I've had the car for 4 or 5 years now. I just got done installing my nitrous outlet kit for 370Z on it. As most of you know, that most of everything is interchangeable between the 370Z. It's got the same engine block in it. Other than, you know, the intakes and whatnot have to take a different turn on this car. Throttle bodies, lower and upper intakes, turbo, supers are all the same pretty much. So what do we got here is, you're probably wondering why I went with nitrous outlet. For one, they were the only ones that actually would actually pick up the phone and respond to emails. I tried reaching out to Zix first, just because they seem to be more well known in the Z community. But I also read there was at least I saw one guy, I think he blew his motor like 2 times with a Zix system. So I just passed on that. Couldn't really get a hold of them. Nitrous Express seemed too expensive, and these guys just seemed like they had good support. So far, I haven't had that many issues. I had a couple fittings that were the wrong size. The first purge, they're gonna hopefully replace. There was something wrong with it. It was I think it was stuck closed, and but other than that, the other 2 solenoids fired off when they're supposed to. So if you decide to take up doing one of these nitrous kits, take your time on it. There is a ton of wiring involved. For nitrous outlet, the documentation's not the greatest, but then again, their support's really good, and you can call them with any questions. You can see I have I put a fuse block in here, and just kind of added up all the amps per circuit that I was going to need and made sure that it covered it. It did help almost save the purge. It was just bad. But yeah, make sure you do your diligence on the wiring. Most of these I got like silicone shrink tube on them to help protect it. But overall, it has 3 relays. So you got your 2 relays here. There's 2 in the trunk as well. So if we walk over here, see how I have this set up. So I ended up making my own platform here. It's been treated with heat-resistant paint, which it's off the bottle doesn't sit directly on it, and the heater element doesn't touch it, so it's not really a big deal. But they have black paint, so I use silver paint or gray paint, whatever you want to call it. You can see the line that's ran in here, so there's a little bit of space up here. You gotta pull the seats out up front, or the back seat out, and the bottom of it, and the whole thing. But there's a spot when there's some I guess it's sound dampening material. It's like foam, but there's a spot where you could pull that through. Same thing with the power. I use electrical tape on this side, but the engine bay I bought some a wiring harness grade material, which is better for heat. But just keep it organized. I got a bottle pressure switch as well that's dialed in. On the engine, there's a fuel pressure switch. That was kind of a pain in the butt to dial in, but I ended up doing it. I used an amp meter and did some trial and error, and I got it working. Fuel pressure gauge install, that's on there. This thing surprisingly has a lot of fuel pressure. It sits around, I think, like 58 when the car's running, and when you crank it up, it's about at 44. It does have an aftermarket fuel pump. I'm using a Deathrix, I believe is the name of it, brand. It's like a 320W. But overall, this car's been a good car to me. It runs so far 13.2s on an A. I've done quite a bit of work to it. As you've seen on my other videos, it is converted to E85. So that did help. You know, I got about 20 horsepower out of that. It's pretty excited. Cut about a tenth of a second off the quarter mile. Oh, I forgot the cool part here. So, you know, part of getting this done is making sure, you know, like all the wiring and the hoses is all nicely clean, so there's nothing running in the car. I've seen some other videos where it's just like a complete mess, but I end up being able to run everything through here without any issues. I made sure to separate the hoses from the electrical, and they're all creating my own wiring harness through here. And then I got my controller here as well. So I had this piece of plastic laying around, and I decided to use, just kind of mold it. You know, it's like I didn't want to buy one. I couldn't find one that fit this perfectly. So I ended up making my own. So I used a heat gun, and I had it's like a soldering iron for plastic. So I was able to mold this into shape, and made it so it fits in the glove box. I could turn it out if I want to. My controller is dialed in, so it's set to only kick in when the throttle position sensor is at 95 or greater. So that means it's got to be like wide open throttle, pretty much, and then it has to be at a certain RPM as well. And the additional setup is a lockout. You can lock out a gear, so it's basically set to skip first gear, and then once it hits God, what was it? What I set it for? So it skips first gear, then it activates. I think I set it at 5,500 RPM. I might drop that, and it turns off at 7,000 RPM. But that's the setup. Can't run it yet. I gotta get it tuned. I did put Zix plugs into it. Not Zix. I'm sorry. HKS plugs. They're one step colder plugs. I just recently got done with that. That's why I had pulled the intakes off, pulled the throttle bodies off, got all that done. But overall, I'm pretty happy. I got a temp tune from my tuner, Seb over in Chatsworth, and once I get my purge replaced, I can actually go test it a little bit, but I'm not gonna go too hard on it until I actually get it tuned and dynoed. And definitely I'm starting off at 70 horsepower jets, so we'll go from there. Trending holds, might keep it like that for a year, check the plug, see how it's doing, maybe increase it. But yeah, there you go. All right.